AI shows its orcish side. BGP, yeah, you know me. And bye-bye, little bluebird. These stories and much more in today's episode of MSP Dispatch.
Build the Impossible at CompTIA ChannelCon 2023, running August 1st through the 3rd at the Venetian Resort in Las Vegas, Nevada. Join other technology innovators and peers to solve problems and create new opportunities in 3 days of learning, collaboration, and transforming your business and career. Speakers include Eric Anthony, Aaron Chernin, Vince Chrysler, Bob Coppage, and ChannelCon's 2023 keynote speaker, Mick Ebeling. Be inspired, build the impossible. This $1,200 value is yours at no cost when you register with promo code SBOIT23 or scan the QR code on your screen.
Good morning and welcome to the July 25th episode of MSP Dispatch, your source for news, community events, and commentary in the MSP channel. I'm Ray Orsini, joined as always by my co-host, Mr. Tony Francisco. How you doing, Tony?
Excellent, brother. Excellent. Episode number 135. Just so everyone knows, we don't do this one time a week. We do it 2 times a week. 2 times a week, keep everyone up to date. But ChannelCon is next week, and there's a promo code straight from here. If you didn't hear it before, that means you have to rewind the intro, you have to listen to it, and you go, oh my gosh, I get it for free. $1,200 for free. No big deal, not at all. Twice a week. There it is. I'm just unloading.
No, you're coming in strong. We're starting off the week strong. I absolutely love it. You say the 1 time, 2 time, and of course, the first thing I think about is like Roberta Flack, or not Roberta Flack. She's the OG. Lauryn Hill, killing me softly 1 time. Doesn't matter how drunk you are. The entire bar at the tell me I'm wrong. You could be 3 in the morning, 50 tequilas in because you're hanging out with Tony Francisco, and you hear the song come on, and you'd be like passed out. You'd be like, 1 time, damn well every time.
I thought you were gonna go with like Laverne and Shirley, like Shamil, Shamazel. No, did I just date literally 3/4 of our audience says, who's Laverne and Shirley? It was awesome back in this day.
So, you know what our audience does love, because we're a bunch of freaking nerds, and let's be honest, we love being nerds. We love this story. This story here is Redditors troll AI content farms into covering a fake WoW feature. WoW being World of Warcraft, right? So the Redditors tricked this AI content farm, whatever that happens to be. It's called The Portal. And they tricked it into covering a fake World of Warcraft feature called Glorbo. All right. You want to take any stabs at what Glorbo could possibly be?
What is Glorbo?
Yeah, exactly. Same. So apparently he creates this fake WoW feature. It's a Redditor named it must be related to Kelvin Tehelar. With these fake WoW features, and even gets Blizzard developers to play along with it. The Portal posts a blog post about Glorbo, and the fake WoW feature is deleted, but an archived version still remains. I love this, that we are entering a new generation of F around and find out. And I think it is absolutely cool as shit. Now I got to edit that. Damn it.
Dolphins everywhere.
Everywhere the dolphins. But how much do you love that, Tony? Like, how cool is that to you?
It's incredible, for not just because, hey, we have virtual worlds that are now being attacked in a variety of ways, but that's soon going to be fueled and driven and enhanced by the AI that is now hot on our heels everywhere. So I think the script kiddies of old are now being introduced to, Worm, GPT, and a variety of new technologies that, congratulations, script kiddies, whoa, it's horrible, but it's predefined. Worm GPT, now it's going to be a little bit more nebulous, a little bit more interactive, engaged, but if it's used correctly, you can go hack a video game and just kind of play with people.
Yeah, I think so. But for now, what do you say we get into the news?
Let's get into the news.
In my top security story, BGP software vulnerabilities overlooked in networking infrastructure, and a story written by Nate Nelson for Dark Reading. Researchers from Forescout have raised concerns about overlooked vulnerabilities in Border Gateway Protocol, otherwise known as BGP, in their implementations, a critical technology for transmitting data packets across networks on the internet. While BGP has received significant attention from the security community and state level actors, the focus has primarily been on the protocol itself, leaving blind spots in the software that translates protocol into code for routers. The latest systematic analysis of BGP software vulnerabilities was conducted 2 decades ago at Black Hat USA. In a recent study, researchers have discovered 3 new vulnerabilities in various BGP implementations, including FR routing used by popular networking solutions like NVIDIA Cumulus. The vulnerabilities were related to message parsing, which allowed potential denial of service attacks, or DOS, if an attacker could spoof a trusted BGP peer's IP address. Mitigating BGP software risks requires organizations to maintain a clear inventory of devices and software on their networks. Promptly patching vulnerabilities is crucial to reduce their attack surface, which now includes network infrastructure, IoT, and operational technology. Tony, this was one of those things that, for all the, as a networking guy, right? You know, I'm a network engineer. For all the sky is falling and all the other things we worry about, it was surprising to me we haven't covered this yet, because BGP has been an open problem for a long time. Um, what's your take on this, man?
Well, first things first, aside from me not needing to talk about this at all, because this is literally your world, we'll get to that in just a moment. I'm gonna hot potato this back to you in just a moment. But second law of thermodynamics, the law of entropy. Without proper regulation, natural disorder will occur. And in this particular case, it's been so we'll call it regulated, the protocol itself, but the software has not been managed accordingly, and we're starting to see the cracks and things slipping through those cracks. It's concerning to me because BGP is such a widely used, everywhere, widely used protocol, which is where, hold on, yeet, I pass it right back over. Look, it goes whoop, boop, right there, whoop, right there. I mean, right back over. Talk to us about BGP.
So, for those that don't know, for the layperson out there, and I get this is back end internet, right? This is back end networking. So I do not expect the average MSP technician to know this stuff, but it's good to know because it's good to look when you're troubleshooting and stuff like that. BGP is responsible for saying these places own these IP addresses, right? We're taught in our early days, DNS resolves to IP, IP goes to server, and you're good to go. There's an extra piece that we don't talk about, and that's BGP. BGP tells the IP where to actually go. So you will have, and one of the problems with BGP as it stands today is it's not strict, right? Like DNS, one person owns the DNS record for at whatever registrar. That is beyond contention. There's errand policies and ICANN policies to go take it back if it's, somebody squatting or whatever, but it is very clear who owns what. And it always goes back to those root servers, to the domain registrars, so on and so forth. With BGP, it's not. BGP is very much a trust-based system. So I say I own this IP space at 1.0.0.0, and that whole /8, I'm announcing, and that's what it is, BGP announcements, I'm announcing to the world, these are mine. The problem is now there are ways for identification, authorization, and so on and so forth, but most of the world works with, okay, Tony says he owns the 1. Network /8, so 1.7.15.24, I'm going to send to Tony. And then Simon comes in and gives the exact same announcement, and the rest of the internet goes to Simon. And this has happened already. This has happened. There was a mistake with BGP in Syria, which happened, which took over, I forget, I can't even remember which block it was, but it was something like an AWS. It was somebody important. It wasn't like my house, right? And this stuff is super dangerous. And it's still mind-boggling to me that 60 years later, we still don't.
It's the same stuff. So without getting into that technical tar pit, because the MSP audience that we're talking to loves this stuff. Right now, they're all focusing on what you're saying. Just to give it kind of an analogous representation or connection, some type of correlation. Is it similar to like an IP routing table inside a switch? Is it like a cross between an IP routing table and a switch and maybe a DHCP server?
Yeah, it absolutely could be. So in telco, the analog is LRNs. Telephones have location routing numbers, which look exactly like phone numbers that are not the same as the phone numbers, so on and
Yes.
so forth. BGP has the same thing. But anybody who's ever configured a static route on their firewall, they know, okay, well, I want a black hole route. I'm going to AOL.com. I want to kill traffic to that. Anything going to AOL.com, I'm going to null route it. I'm going to give it an address that doesn't exist. I'm going to give it a route that doesn't exist. Right, the last route on most of your switch or most of your firewalls are going to be 0000, which means anything I don't know locally, send it out here. So just like you can do that locally, the rest of the internet works like that too. And I realize this has just become 15 minutes of like networking in depth,
No, this is
which
educational. This is exactly why I hot potatoed it over to you. This is educational. Not only is it educational from the event that is occurring at a massive scale, but what we're doing is we're bringing it all the way over into the definition so we understand kind of the placement of it. And see what I did there? I inserted a little bit, hey, IP routing table, DHCP, which we all know. Anyone who's listening to this knows what that is. And now you can make those connections, and you're making it so like bite-sized little pieces. But if we back way out to the big picture, think about how large this is from a telco perspective. And it's not, we're talking data center, we're talking like, I mean, it's huge. And so, how can people update their stuff? Can you give a path to resolution, something saying,
well,
hey, call your providers and ask X?
yeah, do me a favor, call Comcast, ask them to update their BGP security. Now, BGP like DNSSEC exists. There is security for BGP, and like DNSSEC, it is so widely underutilized. It's ridiculous. I would love to continue this conversation. It's the most fun conversation in the world for me. I am absolutely a network nerd, and if you want to continue it with us, go to that little fun place we call the MMN Discord. Just get your phone, scan it in, and we will continue the conversation there. But for now, Tony, Microsoft is telling us that they've never had a breach. We never have to worry about anything. We're completely good, right?
Yeah. And on my first story from darkreading.com, a Microsoft 365 breach risk widens to millions of Azure AD apps. The Storm 0558 breach by Chinese advanced persistent threat actors, which compromise emails within 25 U.S. government agencies, may pose a broader risk to Microsoft cloud services than initially predicted. A stolen Microsoft account key used in the breach could forge access tokens for multiple types of Azure Active Directory applications, including SharePoint, Teams, and OneDrive. Determining the actual scope of the compromise could take weeks or months due to a lack of authentication logging in many organizations. Despite Microsoft revoking the stolen key, the APT, again, that's the Advanced Persistent Threat Actors, could have already established persistence by issuing application-specific access keys and setting backdoors. Experts urge organizations to refresh trusted certificate lists immediately, update Azure SDKs, and ensure application caches are updated. Ray, I'm going to kick this off with a very, very simple fact. Rabbits will eat their babies if they're stressed enough. And I am so glad that I am not a rabbit. I just want to let you know that. Not that I stress over the security, because stress was such a long time ago when I hear about these things. But let's get into the fun stuff that we're all thinking about right now. What is that persistent caching? I'm just going to open this up and I'm going to pass it over to you as I sit here and bite my nails off. Once there is a source and destination, and the authentication occurs at the destination, once that authentication occurs, that session is established. In a lot of cases, you can change the password as many times as you want, and with modern authentication, I believe is what Microsoft calls it, once that session is established, it will remain persistent. It doesn't matter how many times you change that password. So for the MSP community out there, listen to me, this is incredibly important. If there is attrition in your organization and you change the password on someone because they're gone, if they have a computer at home that's still authenticated in, they just didn't shut it down. In fact, it'll actually probably stay up for about 2 to 3 weeks. They will continue to have access to all of that information they originally had access to unless you cut the permissions at the application level. Or You refresh the token, you refresh that token, but by doing that, you probably have to do that organization wide. Then everyone has to relog in. It's inconvenient, but it addresses a very key vulnerability, killing those sessions that should not be active. So, Ray, this is where I pass it back to you. I am going to go back into my neurotic, nail-biting behavior. Tell me your thoughts on this. Is this going to proliferate? Is this going to be everywhere, and we're just kind of scratching the surface right now?
See, here's my thing. We rail on and on about, you know, cleaning up your accounts and doing your housekeeping and doing regular audits, so on and so forth. Absolutely. But I can't remember ever being explicitly told when I've talked to somebody about their offboarding process, if anybody has ever included the step, go into M365 admin portal and revoke the tokens. You can absolutely do it. It's there. It's log out all users. It's been there. But and I would bet dollars to donuts that if I went to Kevin Tellar and asked, does SIP do this as part of the processes, I'd bet damn well they did. Which is the catch here, right? This is the reason I've been railing forever, talking about MSPs need DevOps on staff. If you have enough techs, hire DevOps next, hire or automation person, whatever the hell you want to call them, automation engineer, DevOps, whatever it happens to be. But you build all this stuff, so you build the process, and it's done 100% accurately, 100% of the time. And Tony, that's the thing, right? Like, I've never once seen anybody, when talking about offboarding, say, oh yeah, and when you remove the accounts during your offboarding, make sure you revoke the tokens, make sure you clear it. And that's in the Microsoft 365 admin portal. You can do it. It's just an extra step. Why? I have no dolphin clue. Why is that not part of just deactivating the account? I have no clue. And I would love to know that. And I'd bet if I asked like Kelvin Tehelar or one of them, like, about SIP, I'd bet that's already built into SIP doing it. So if you don't know, cipp.app will take you over there. But it drives me nuts. And this is another example of Microsoft knowing these are best practices, knowing these things are needed. And then, as Steve Gibson likes to say, the tyranny of the defaults. The fact that deactivating account, to all intents and purposes, solves a problem in most people's eyes. Tony, you buy a house, you change the locks. You don't have to worry about anybody with the old key because the locks are changed, right? And that is how this is seen with 365. Unfortunately, that's not how it works.
Okay, so let's talk about that right now. Let's talk about this. And I'm 100% going to claim the reality. I have purchased a house, didn't change the keys. Didn't change. I moved in an apartment, didn't change the keys. And I know that's horrible. But I did mount my guns next to the front door. Anyway, so but I think that complacency is a major issue. And from the MSP audience that's listening to us right now, this is a differentiator. There's a lot of MSPs out there. This is going to differentiate you from their internal IT department that you're frankly competing with. And let's just be blunt, you all run into that in some capacity. But this is going to, right now, you're just a needle in a stack of other needles. Everyone's doing the same thing. You know what everyone's not doing? They're not saying, hey, listen, when you have Office 365 and you have attrition, when you have somebody you've let go, or you're sunsetting a role, whatever it is, you are refreshing the tokens. Now, what that is going to cause, everything has a cost, that's going to cause everyone to log out, and they just have to log back in, which they should do anyway. But what that's also going to cause is a mandatory immediate audit of everyone that's in there that should be in there, and frankly getting rid of the people that shouldn't be in there. So something to think about. Please, MSP community, please start implementing that in your standard offboarding process, please. Now, here's the next thing. You have this new thing we just told you. It's a huge tool. It's a very small amount of effort. The next thing is going to be X. Now, what do you think X is? It could be anything. It could be everything. I think, Ray, you should talk about it.
Yeah, Twitter did it again. In our third top story, Twitter rebrands to X. In our business section, written by Ivan Mehta for TechCrunch. Twitter has replaced its iconic bird logo with an X as its new official logo following an announcement by Elon Musk. The change is already in effect on the Twitter website, and Musk himself described the new logo as an interim choice, implying that more changes may be following in the future. The company plans to bid farewell to the Twitter brand and move forward with a future called X, focusing on unlimited interactivity centered around audio, video, messaging, payments, banking, and becoming a global marketplace for ideas, goods, services, and opportunities. Musk's fascination with the letter X is evident as he founded X.com, which became PayPal, and SpaceX, both featuring the X logos. Twitter CEO Linda Vaccarino emphasized that X would be transformative in the platform, becoming an everything app with AI-powered connectivity. The branding change also reflects Twitter's shift toward new avenues to generate revenue after facing significant drops in advertising revenue and a heavy debt load. Tony, every time I think we're done hearing about Elon, every time I'm like, how much more can we possibly take? We get something like this, and it's phenomenal. It's not a cage match. I'm still waiting for my cage match. But what's your take on this? On Mr. the guy who's desperately trying to become an X-Man?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, there is a law in Connecticut that it's illegal to kiss your spouse in public on Sunday. Not a joke. Look it up. For those of you who don't know, if you are in the employment of Elon Musk, your company, it's illegal to have your company not have X in it in some particular way, shape, or form. There's strange laws out there. Some of them are more backed by the US government. Some of them are backed by the richest man literally in the world. But they are predictable. I don't know what the outcome of this is going to be. We've all had our very strange perspectives. We've been covering this since the very beginning. He first put his bid in. I said, hey, that's kind of an awkward. I got a lot of negative private comments when I said he'll probably tank it on purpose. And the reason that is he could sunset the $45 billion, declare bankruptcy, restructure the organization the way he wants it after bankruptcy. And because of that, writing off the $45 billion that he sunk into the company, that was a disaster. He also at the same time is receiving the biggest bonus in human history. He can have his cake and eat it too, or the other way around. So we talked about this and people said that's crazy. And then sure enough, drastic actions were occurring. So let's just be blunt. He is doing some crazy stuff, but he knows how to make money. Do I understand what he's doing? No. Do I like X.com? Yes, that's kind of cool. Does he have an everything app structure in the back of his mind? Probably. I wish I could see what that would look like, how that'll proliferate, how that will compete with Amazon.com, how will that maybe tie in with Amazon? Just think about that from a fulfillment perspective. Could that be the singular API structuring from a telco perspective? If you have a telco background, everything just routes into him, and it's the everything app for everyone. I don't know. Anyway, that's my perspective. Still a little neurotic about all of the ransomware and
I'm going to push back a little bit, Tony. So here's why. Is the guy smart at making money? Absolutely yes. No question about it. He knows how to make money. Here's the catch. He's not an employee. He's not a salesperson. His job is to make money for the companies he is a CEO of, or he's founded, or he's part of. Right? These are companies that have a fiduciary responsibility to their stakeholders. He's not the only stakeholder in any of his companies. So shouldn't he be making more money for the company? Not because it's cool to say, I bought Twitter and then I stopped paying rent and I got a huge, bonus. How does that help Twitter? You know what I'm saying? All this
when's he making money though? Is what's the time period? Is he making money now? You have a 24-month, 36-month period, a timeline to make money, or is it a 5-8 year plan? And if it's a 5-8 year plan, he is one pixel into that process. So is this a bigger picture than you and I are able to see? Is he seeing? You and I have our little, some people have their little 4-pack of Crayolas, and you and I, we've got the 9-pack, man. We're like, but he's got like the 4,000 ultraviolet color pack that, we just can't see the colors.
thread. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
no, I get it. I do get that. I get he has a proven history. Now, PayPal struggled financially. Besides being the behemoth they are, they did struggle financially, and he had
Well,
a
it sold to
lot of
eBay.
partners involved. And he
Yeah.
exited before it had made a ton of money. So let's be clear on that one. And then Tesla, yes, Tesla blew up without question. Well, it's not a battery joke.
Yeah,
But
I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if the
yeah.
best words to use.
But Tesla stock absolutely like went crazy. And then, you know, but at the same time, you have Tesla lawsuits going on because the FSD, the full service driving, has never actually worked the way they sold it. So, and it's been 10 years, right? And he's got into plenty of legal battles because he just goes and without any regard for what the rules are and what the laws are. And you have SpaceX, where he's been a little less brazen. But SpaceX, has it proven to be a moneymaker yet? Because I think we're still early days on SpaceX. A sustainable business model. Let me say that. Not they're building toward all these things, but is this a company that we know, okay, this is going to achieve X revenue quarter after quarter after quarter? I don't think we're there yet. I think we're still in the finding out phase. And I think Twitter, you're right. We're too early into it to say what's really going on there. I don't disagree there. I just, how long do you wait before you realize the Pied Piper's leading you into the water, not himself? You get what I'm saying?
Long. This is how long. Thread. I just embodied Mark Zuckerberg. This is how long. Thread. Done.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we don't have forever. If you want to keep talking about this, hit us up on the MMN Discord, scan the link, join us there. And but for now, Tony, we got some notables to take care of. What do you say?
Let's jump into those notables. And jumping into my first notable from bleepingcomputer.com, Microsoft enhances Windows 11 phishing protection with some new features. Windows 11 is testing a feature that alerts users when they paste their passwords into websites or documents, furthering its enhanced phishing protection. The security feature aims to protect Windows and Active Directory domain credentials from being stolen by threat actors. Previously, this is a feature only warning users when they manually type their passwords into a web page or document. With the latest Windows 11 Insider Dev build, this security measure has been expanded to detect copied and pasted passwords. However, it does not work if the user logs in to Windows Hello, PIN, or biometrics. Users are advised to enable this feature for improved security. And in my next notable mention from Engadget.com, ChatGPT's Android app arrives in the last week of July. OpenAI is set to launch the ChatGPT app for Android users in the last week of July, following the app's successful release for iPhone users in May. The Google Play listing for ChatGPT is already available, allowing users to pre-register for its release. While initially uncertain if the app would be limited to the US, like the iPhone version, pre-orders have been possible from other regions, suggesting a wider rollout is likely. The Android app promises an optimized interface for mobile devices and tailored features for users on the platform. ChatGPT subscribers can also access a new opt-in feature that provides the AI chatbot with continuous memory, enabling better user interactions across conversations. This feature is expected to be available for Android users as well, further enhancing their experience with the app.
And in my resource of the week, cyber insurance tips and tricks, written by James Gaskin for the Channel Pro Network. Cyber insurance is vital for SMBs and MSPs. They can act as advisors to help clients find suitable coverage while reducing their own liability. Understanding clients' needs is critical due to varying policies, but rates are stabilizing as insurers get better risks and understanding. In this article, you'll find tips and tricks for getting the best possible outcome for yourselves and your clients. And in our upcoming events, today at 1 o'clock, we have the Pitch It Vendor Spotlight featuring DataStream and GrokStream, 1 p.m. on this channel. Tonight at 7 p.m., we have Wins and Losses Episode 2 featuring Jason Slagle and myself, Ray Orsini. On July 26th at 1 p.m., MSP Dispatch Special Report, Mergers and Acquisition Series, and Employees Insider Perspective. On July 27th at 1 p.m., Pitch It Vendor Spotlight, DefenseX, and MSP Camp. And then on Thursday night, the Tech Bar episode 62 with John Harden, the nicest guy in the channel. And in our community calendar, on July 26th at 12 p.m., the Build It Better Everything MSP discussion. On July 26th, also in-person event, Next Gen MSP in Indianapolis, Indiana. On July 27th in Princeton, in-person event, MSP Rescue East Coast. And July 27th through 28th in Anaheim, California, in-person event, SMB Tech Fest Quarter 3. Hey, I'm Powerhouse Ray.
And I'm Super Cousin Danny.
And we're the hosts of
The Tech Bar.
Pull up a stool with us every other Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern for drinks, jokes, and games with your friends in the MSP channel. So how'd you like today's show? If you liked it, hit the thumbs up button. If you didn't, go ahead and hit it twice, or 3 times, or 5 times. And if you want to hear more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button on the YouTubes or your favorite podcatcher. You know what you shouldn't do? Leave the token accessible. Make sure you revoke it. Did you know we also have a Discord where we post stories all week? You can propose your own stories and even vote on which ones we'll cover. As my friend Rich Mankey says, make sure to tell a friend. Also be sure to follow us on social media at MSP Media TV. Have any questions? Email news@mspmedia.tv for answers on the next episode, or leave us a voicemail, 833 MSP Network. Tony, we had fake trolls in World of Warcraft.
World of Warcraft, that's so awesome. Awesome.
We scared everybody with their internet being broken too, with BGP nightmares. And we also told them they're doing it wrong with MFA. But at least we have X. That's a win. Right?
X is everything.
X
Anything?
everything.
Everywhere? I don't know. I don't even know.
Is
it called Threads now? Is X Threads or is X everything? I don't even.
This is Finkel is Einhorn. Einhorn is Finkel. It's all backwards to me. You know what it is? This is the end of this episode, so I'll give it an X for the closure, like you would do in any Windows system, because we're not Mac people. Ignore the Macs on my desk. But until next time, everybody. Take care of yourselves and each other.
And be safe, everyone.
This has been a broadcast of the MSP Media Network.
And we got a blooper already. Very nice. All right.
I don't see your screen. Am I supposed to see your screen?
You should, except I didn't. I suck so much at this. Okay.
Smooth.
Good shit.
Smooth.
All right.